everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing my first ever book review slash discussion video. I have never done one of these, so please bear with me if I'm rambly or if I seem kind of frazzled or anything like that. It is because I have never done a video like this before, and practice makes perfect. So I've had no practice, so I'm not going to be perfect. But today we are going to be discussing, of course, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I know I'm pretty late to the game. Everybody got their reviews up so quickly on this book, but I really like this process. I read it. It kind of took me a few days, which I was really hoping it wouldn't, because I thought I was going to be able to like dive in and just go, but it wasn't the case. So yeah, I also haven't really, I think I've been done with this book about a week. I've been letting it process. I haven't read anything else, which is not good, because if you've seen my TBR for this month, you know it's quite ambitious, and I don't have the time to not be reading. But I haven't read anything since this book, and I've kind of been letting it process, but in the process, I've kind of forgotten some stuff. I do have notes. My notes are really not great notes. I've never been a good annotator. I'm gonna admit it. Even in high school, I never wanted to annotate. I just wanted to start writing the essay and just go. But so if this is really rambly, it is, and jumps all over the place and like doesn't follow the plot, I apologize. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is gonna be very spoilery, so if you haven't read it, I would suggest not watching probably from here on out. Actually no, you can stay for about a second. I'm gonna give you my general thoughts real quick about this. This is obviously not a J.K. Rowling book. Obviously, it's a script. It was based on the original new story by J.K. Rowling, new play by Jack Thorne, stuff like that. So it doesn't have the eloquence that J.K. Rowling usually puts in her books. It doesn't have, in my opinion, the character development that J.K. Rowling usually has. And it does, I tried to stay away from watching the reviews. I haven't actually watched a full review or read a full review, because I didn't want anything to like taint my judgment before I did this video. But I did read, I think even before, I think it was only like maybe 30 pages into this, and I clicked on a BuzzFeed article about how this read like fan fiction. And I think my eyes like completely opened to a whole new like perspective of this book, because it reads like fan fiction. It does. And I think if you're gonna go into this with expectations of J.K. Rowling, which I think is what a lot of people did, you probably aren't gonna love it. But I mean, it's Harry Potter, so of course I'm gonna give it 5 stars, and it's another Harry Potter story, and I'm not gonna complain about it. But you know, I do have some choice things to say about some stuff. But all in all, it was really good. I got really into it once I, you know, really sat down and was like, we're gonna read. And I think, you know, Act 1 took me a little bit, but after that, it was like, boom, I read it all the rest of the day. If you haven't read it yet, please go pick this up, come back, watch the rest of the video, tell me what you think down in the comments. I would really like to know everybody's perspective on this, because I think everyone has a pretty different perspective from what I can tell. But yeah, I think I'm pretty happy that I gave myself the time to kind of process this, because I think a lot of people, you know, put it up right away in their instant reaction, which would have been cool, but I'm kind of happy I've given myself the time to kind of step away and think about it, and I don't think I'm as upset about it as I was when I finished. Actually, I don't think I was upset. I was still excited. I just wasn't as, I'm not as disappointed as I may have been when I first read it. So yeah, if you haven't read it, goodbye, but please come back and share your perspective when you are finished with it. Okay, let's start off. The beginning, oh my gosh, I, just like a lot of people whose review started off with, oh my gosh, this starts with a prologue, or yeah, the prologue? No, not the prologue. The epilogue. The epilogue left off, oh my god. That's pretty much how I felt. I was reading this and I was like, this is the dialogue from the last chapter of, oh my gosh. I was so excited that we literally picked up where we left off. I wasn't sure how they were going to do that, but it was awesome. It was so great. It was really exciting to get back into it and stuff like that. But from then on out, I think some of my issues come in with the fact that it is a play and not a book. And I knew it was a play. Like, it wasn't like I was like, oh god, like this is a script, this isn't a book. No, I knew. I just think I wasn't expecting it to throw me off as much as it did. And what I mean by that is, I think some of, like, you literally just rely on the dialogue in this for characterization, for everything. Like, I really think there was a lot that needed to be done with the dialogue, and I think some of it came up short. In that way, I kind of, like, I think characterization of Albus and Scorpius was great. I got them. I really understood them. I loved Scorpius. Scorpius is easily my favorite character in this book. Albus is easily probably my least favorite character in this book. But everyone else, I think, like, adults, Harry and Ron and Hermione and Ginny, could have done with a little bit more. And I don't really know why I feel like that, because I feel like some people felt like, yeah, they were the same people they were. But, you know, in a lot of ways, I think they were different, and I would have liked a little bit more from that, because I think I was kind of expecting just, like, Hermione, Ron, and Harry, and obviously, it's 19 years later, that's not how they're going to be written. They're not going to be written as 17-year-old kids, but I wanted more of the, not explanation, because you don't need the background. That's the best part of this. You don't need the background, but I'm rambling and I sound crazy because I'm not totally sure what I wanted in regards to characterization of the older ones, because I feel like sometimes Ron was really weird, and not in, like, a Ronny way, like, when you're like, oh, it's Ron Weasley, yeah, it was like a, okay, I'm just gonna roll with that, alright, whatever. And, like, Hermione, there were moments where I was like, oh, that's Hermione, and then there were moments where I was like, okay. And then Harry, I feel like I forget every time I read a Harry Potter book how whiny I always find Harry. Like, there's very few moments in the Harry Potter series where I'm not like, oh my god, Harry, you're so whiny, because he is quite a whiny character. He just is. And I kind of forgot about that. Like, for example, the blanket for Albus. For me, that was, you know, that was kind of, I understand, like, it was like a peace offering. It was like, this is a part of me. But yet again, like, it was about him. And that really kind of bothered me, because it was like, your son is sick of, you know, hearing about you. You don't give him something that's like, this is the last thing I have of my parents. Like, I understand you're trying to connect with him, but, like, you know, he's sick of young Harry. He's sick of hearing about what young Harry did, and he doesn't want, like, major connection to that. Like, you gave James your invisibility cloak. Like, that's, like, I understand the blanket meant more, but, like, when you're a 14-year-old kid who, you know, isn't having the best time at school and is really living in your shadow, you don't give him the blanket at that point. Like, maybe later on when he can understand it better, but at that point, blanket was not the best. Obviously, the blanket came in big, important thing, which, you know, I'm jumping around the plot a lot, but, like, we're talking about the blanket. Is anyone else just like, what with the blanket thing? Because, like, you know, it's like, oh, this ingredient in the love potion is going to react with this, and it's going to be, you know, we can write him a message and stuff. And I was kind of like, that was like a random piece of wizardry fact. And, you know, I think J.K. Rowling did a pretty good job in the series of being like, this is what will happen if you do this. And, like, didn't feel random. That kind of felt like a random, like, solution, in my opinion. But, you know, it still made for really good plot. Like, it was a good plot. Like, it was a pretty exciting moment. It was kind of funny where they couldn't figure out what the message said and stuff like that. And, like, great thinking on the boys' part, because Scorpius is, like, smarter than Rose. Not Rose. Rose, right? Rose Granger Weasley. Yeah. I'm sorry, but Scorpius was smarter than Rose, in my opinion, which was kind of shocking. But, you know, it did feel kind of random. There were a lot of points in this book where I was like, what? And I do understand it is the first edition of this script. They're going to keep changing it. They're going to work with it. And it's really like, it's kind of like the first, not a first draft. I'm not going to say it's a first draft, but, you know, it's still going to change. It's the rehearsal edition. A lot can change, you know, like one thing, like Cedric. They keep talking about how, like, Cedric was, like, this dark Death Eater and all this other stuff. And I just felt like, did I miss something? Like, where is Cedric? Like, no one talked about Cedric. I wanted to figure out how he knew Cedric, and maybe I did skip a couple pages. Correct me down in the comments if I'm wrong, and Cedric, like, we talked to Cedric when he was a Death Eater, not when he was, like, in the tournament and they talked to him, but when he was a Death Eater, because he was, like, commenting on how he was, like, dark and scary and stuff, and we didn't see Cedric, and I kind of, and where was Teddy? Sorry, I'm literally rambling. I am so sorry for this. This has no real linear thing. I feel like I haven't talked to anybody about this book yet, so I think this is where this is coming from. This is kind of how I discuss books in real life. It just pops around a lot. Like, things pop into my head, and I'm like, oh, wait, where was that? But no, where was Teddy? Where'd he go? Like, he's just gone. I know he's older, but, like, where is he? Okay, there were some plot points that were a lot. So when I first came across the theory that Scorpius, you know, could be Voldemort's son, there were a lot of questions there. Okay, so if they thought that Draco had a time turner and he was willing to do that, like, who thinks of, like, oh, you know who's a powerful dark wizard? Voldemort. Hey, you're not, like, a bad lady, like, we don't know much about you, but you don't seem like that bad of a lady, but I want you to go back in time and create a child with Voldemort. Like, I can't even say the words, like, no, not with Voldemort, ew. But, what? And, like, people believe that? When, like, if you had a time turner, like, an illegal time turner that could go back that far, wouldn't you just, like, change the course of events and, like, Voldemort would rule? Maybe? Like, maybe not. Maybe the Malfoys, you know, like, their whole, like, weird little, like, oh, they're not really that committed to the Dark Lord anymore. But, like, if you were, like, if I was a wizard in the wizarding world and I heard this rumor, you know, there would be a lot of weird questions and I would not be quick to believe it because it's just, like, if they had an illegal time turner, they could do a lot worse than be like, you know what, we're having issues having children. Voldemort. Really? Really? But, you know, Voldemort was getting busy back then, which is so weird to me that he had the time and just the desire. Like, I don't know. That is weird to me that, like, because Voldemort is a monster and not, like, a human. So, in my head, because he's just so far gone and he's so snake-like, and, like, in my head, I'm like, Bellatrix Lestrange and Voldemort. Alrighty. Why? Like, when did they have the time and, like, what? Just why? Like, I understand Bellatrix's side of it, like, in the evil, like, you know what? You know, make me powerful. Like, yeah, fine. But, like, his side, that's just, like, I mean, I didn't think he would, like, stoop that low. Like, I know she's pure blood, but, like, a lot of questions on that. Delphi? Is that her name? Delphi? Yeah, pretty sure. Pretty sure it's Delphi. Yeah, Delphi. Alright, we're gonna talk about Delphi for a second because, you know, we just talked about the act that brought her into the world because, from the beginning, it was so weird that she was there and, like, she just pops up and, like, starts talking to Albus and, like, has all these ideas and, like, is talking to him and explaining, but, like, just, you know, he didn't hear, nobody, like, no, like, you know, it was, like, weird to me because, like, she just popped up in the stairwell and my first reaction was intruder, like, she does, like, nobody knows she's here, like, she's not with Mr. Diggory, like, that was, like, my first reaction because I was like, that's weird, why is she in the stairwell and, like, she's not with Harry and Mr. Diggory, like, what? It was, like, I don't know, like, I didn't think she was with him, like, that was just my immediate reaction to her, and so, she wasn't with him, you know, he didn't have a niece, and, well, like, she was, you know, she was, you know, she was making him believe he had a niece, I think that's what it was, like, it was weird, like, it was a lot of, like, not much explaining on that part, but, like, she tricked a lot of people into thinking she was Diggory's niece, but then at the same time, like, Diggory was, like, able to be like, I don't have a niece, but, like, she was in the hospital room, obviously, because of that weird little area, you know, with the writing and the second prophecy. There was just a lot of things that I was like, Don't get me wrong, love this book, plot was great, but there was just a lot of, like, questions I had, and really, number one question, Christine brought this up, about being like, how are they going to do this on stage? I want to see this on stage because there was so much magic and so much, like I could picture it in my head the way they would do it in a movie, but, like, play-wise, what? Like, some of this, like, when the Dementors show up, like, I really want to see that. Like, I really want to see the Dementors show up, or, like, the Voldemort thing where, like, he's coming and, like, all that stuff. I would love to experience that because I think it's going to be such a cool theatrical experience. Like, this is going to be an amazing play. There was just some questions I had while reading it, and, like, I feel like that would probably be the case if I read any script to any movie, to any play. I'd be like, but wait, I have a question. Maybe not Hamilton. Like, Hamilton's perfect. But, like, I would have questions and be like, this doesn't tie up to knots. But I think when you're reading it, I'm probably talking like a mile a minute at this point. But when you're reading it, you're very aware of, like, plot holes and things that don't make sense and stuff. But, like, as a play, this would be such, like, it is a play, obviously. This is going to be such the cool experience. Like, it's gonna be so cool, and I am so jealous of anyone who's been able to see it. I cannot wait to see it. Fingers crossed I get to do that. Am I the only one who likes Draco? I kind of loved him in this book. He's always been kind of like my favorite villainous character. I had a huge crush on him when I was little. Like, Chamber of Secrets came out, and for some reason I was like, who's that? I was like 7, maybe? And I've always been like low-key into him. But in this book, I just kind of really enjoyed his like fatherly instinct, because there was nothing to me that was like super whiny about him, whereas Harry, I was kind of like, okay, Harry, it's not always about you. But with Draco, I don't know, I really enjoyed him. I mean, obviously Harry has, you know, a lot on his hands because Albus is a little shit and Scorpius is a beautiful human being. I love Scorpius. But no, I really liked Draco. I think in the one Time Turner episode where he's like the Department of Magical Law Enforcement that Harry was, and he like really like trusted Scorpius even though he was like doing some like good stuff, and I don't know, like I think that really like encompasses him as a character, and I really liked Draco's character. No, I really enjoy Draco as a character, and I'm not really sure why that is. I don't know, Hermione kind of got on my nerves a lot of the time. Ron was straight up weird, like a lot, and then when he was normal, I was confused. In like when he was married to Padma, that was weird. That was very strange. And you know, Harry's kind of whiny. Still love Ginny. Ginny's like my OG favorite character of the books. And in this, she didn't bother me. She wasn't kick-ass or amazing. And that's why I find hard to believe. Because, like, what's Ginny doing? Why is Ginny not a kick-ass amazing person? Like she was in the before books. Like, I feel like she's, like, calm down, housewife, did out Molly Weasley. But, like, that's not Ginny. Ginny's not, like, housewife, stay at home. Like, let's get her back up and kick-ass and amazing. I did love that Hermione was Minister of Magic. That was amazing. I love that they hyphenated Granger Weasley, so she was Rose Granger Weasley. That's like amazing. Like, yeah, Hermione, you go. I kind of wanted more of Rose. Like, I thought it was kind of funny how, like, we got the whole, like, Hermione, Scorpius, Albus, like, they don't really click at the beginning, and I was hoping that they'd click. They didn't click. They didn't click, like, different houses, they weren't into each other. Like, she did not like Scorpius, like, throughout the whole thing, and I love Scorpius because he's like, Rose, like, I love you, and then when, like, Rose doesn't exist, he's like, there's no Rose in this world. Like, that's, like, his #1 issue in this, like, Rose doesn't exist, like, that's not cool. I love that. Like, I was kind of mind-blown by some of, like, the differences that things made, like, oh, like, because we, you know, messed with Cedric's dragon thing, like, Hermione was suspicious of Victor, so Ron never got jealous, and, you know, Ron danced with Padma, and, like, they fell in love, and I was like, you fell in love at 14 and you got married? Like, I don't know, like, some of this was just, it was like, come on, you danced one time when you're 14, and it's like, alright, that's it. I mean, okay, granted, Ginny and Harry started dating when they were 16, and, like, I get it, but still, it was just kind of like, and they never found their way to each other, like, never. I did like when they were on the run from the law and they found out they were married in a different life, and like they had like a moment, and then like Ron got his soul sucked out with Hermione. It was so romantic, like really fucked up, but like so romantic, and that was really great. Snape! I love that Snape was back and alive, and he was like, basically like, you can go back in time and I can be dead if it like saves the world. I love that he was still working for the good and not Voldemort, even though like there was like 2 people left. I love that so much. I did want to know what like Ron was wanted for, because like obviously Hermione's wanted for being like this kick-ass traitor, and like Ron was like, well, you know, I'm slightly less wanted than you, and I'm like, I just wanted like the punchline to the joke. I think I was waiting for that, like, you know, well, I only stole something from Honeydukes, but like you, like I wanted like a punchline, not like a, I wonder what Ron was less wanted for, like, you know what I'm saying? But no, I love that they were still in love, and like even though in the other one like Hermione's like a kind of bitchy person and not great, and she thinks it's weird that they were in love and stuff, like I'm just happy things can still work out even in terrible circumstances. But no, like that was really cool to see. Delphi's logic, using the Time Turner to go back and try to like meet Voldemort and stop him from attacking Harry, and I mean, logically, like, I guess it makes sense in, like, kids' book logic, but, like, in my head, I was like, that's a lot. Like, why would Voldemort believe her? Like, that's my question. Like, why would Voldemort look at her and go, that's my daughter? Like, he's the most evil wizard in the world. Like, he's gonna be like, get the fuck out. I'm gonna kill this baby because that's what the prophecy says I have to do. Why would I listen to you who I've never met and you have blue and silver hair and, like, okay, you look kind of kick-ass, but, like, Like, I don't know, like, yeah, he's, like, dark and twisted and he knows a lot of dark magic and stuff and probably has some way of, like, knowing, but, like, in my head, I'd be like, you can't possibly know more than me. Like, I'm the Dark Lord. Like, I don't know. It was just weird to me. I also found it weird that everyone went back in time to try and save Scorpius and Albus. Like, everybody. Like, I mean, yes, I wanted Kick-Ass Ginny, but it just logically, I was like, all right, how many people do we need? Obviously a lot, because Harry could not handle that, like, when he was pretending to be Voldemort. Like, it was a lot. And, I don't know, more, this is so off tangent, like, literally things just keep popping into my head, and, like, my notes are to shit now, but, you know, more things like, Harry's scar hasn't hurt in 19 years, Harry can randomly start speaking Parseltongue again. Okay, people should be, like, freaking out. Like, not just, like, oh, like, maybe there's something, like, freaking out. Like, you don't, like, if I was Harry, I wouldn't wake up and go, oh, my scar hurt, I'm gonna keep this from people. Like, Ginny, like, oh, I don't want to, like, let you know. And, like, Ginny knows, because, you know, she knows her man. But, like, tell somebody. Like, freak out. What, how old are you? Are you still 16? Like, stop. But, no, it was very interesting, Harry being Voldemort. That was pretty cool. Will admit, that was, like, the whole transfiguration. Like, he was gonna be transfigured into looking like Voldemort. I mean, I'm sorry, if you could do that all the time, that would be scary. Like, people would just walk around and, like, pretend to be Voldemort. Like, I'm sorry, if that's, like, a possibility, like, that's scary. I'm gonna back up a little bit, talking about that one scene where Scorpius was, like, a king or something. They kept calling him that, too. Like, I thought that was, like, a nickname, a cool nickname. Like, no, it was, like, weird, because they were, like, King Scorpius, and I was like, that's weird. But, the augury, that was scary. I did not know what they meant for the longest time. The augury sounded like an entity, so I thought it was like the government, and that's what they called the government, and then all of a sudden, like, it clicked when she had the tattoo and stuff, and oh, wow! Didn't trust her from the beginning, I'm just saying. She was sketchy as hell, and Albus was, like, weirdly into her, and Scorpius was like, no. But, where was I going? Right, Mudblood torture. Whoa! I'm sorry, that, like, took a turn. Like, I thought, well, no, the Voldemort, Scorpius, Voldemort, Delphi thing is definitely the big, like, point of the book, but the Mudblood torture where they had them in the dungeons and they just hear them screaming all the time, and I'm just like, McGonagall wasn't as impressive, I'm gonna admit it. Like, I know she's 19 years older, but, like, or no, she's, like, probably, like, 25 years, or no, not 25, like, 23, 24 years older by the time, like, we really meet her. She wasn't as impressive, in my opinion. Like, I think, like, in a lot of ways, when Harry was like, use this map to stalk my son and stop him from being friends with this person, I just was expecting McGonagall to be like, absolutely not, Harry, what the hell, like, no. But, like, she like, did it for a while, and that was weird to me, because it was like, and, like, Harry's frustrating logic that is gonna work, like, this dark cloud. Okay, I hear dark cloud from a centaur, I'm going Voldemort, I'm going dark magic, I'm going real, like, or depression, or something that's, like, real, not, like, Scorpius. Like, come on, that's, like, his only light in his life. He hates his, like, pretty much hates his life, yeah. And, you know, even though he's a Gryffindor, it's just, that was a cool plot point that I haven't talked on. He's a freaking Slytherin. That was just, whoa. Pretty cool. I kind of like that Harry Potter's son is a Slytherin. I think that kind of, you know, he's not a golden boy. But, I mean, Albus is really freaking annoying. Like, he's more annoying than Harry ever was. And Harry had his moments where I just wanted to be, like, but, like, Albus, all of it. The Trolley Witch. I haven't even talked about the Trolley Witch. What? I feel like Shane Dawson when I do that. But, just, like, I didn't even understand. Because it was like, okay, so the Trolley Witch has been around a long time. And the Trolley Witch is not human. Like, Trolley Witch is all kinds of crazy. And that was just, to me, like, I don't know. I always picture this nice little woman with some candy. And no, she's pretty intense. And, like, I don't know, in my head, like, I know they're young. Let's jump off a train. A moving train. We're underage wizards. We can't actually do magic outside school without someone finding us. But let's jump off a train. Let's do that. Like, blows my mind, man. Blows my mind. And, like, their hearts were in such good places, but at the same time, like, of all the people who died, like, a lot of people died. Like, in my head, he grew up with Teddy. Teddy's parents died to save Harry and the wizarding world. Yes, Cedric's death was crappy, and, like, he was a spare, and that sucks, and, like, he understood what it was like to be the spare, blah, blah, blah. But of all the people that he killed, and he picked Cedric. Like, I understand Diggory was Mr. Diggory, though, that was 19 years later. I understand he will always be your son, but, like, you're still bothering this guy? Like, he feels bad enough. He feels guilt. Like, to say that Harry doesn't feel guilt is so wrong, but, like, wow. But, you know, in my head, saving Cedric, it's a lot of people he could have saved. Like, you know, save your basically adopted brother's parents or something. But, like, saving Cedric? But no, all in all, obviously, I have had a lot of thoughts about this book. You know, I wasn't really sure how to take it at first, and I think that's probably why it took me so long to get into it. But once I started reading it as kind of a separate entity to the books, obviously, it's Albus's story, and this is how Albus's story is going to be written. And once I got used to that, I really got into it. I read it for the plot. I didn't read it for the magic so much like I did the other Harry Potter books in literal and figurative forms. I didn't really read it for the magic of reading it, but for the plot and the continuation of this world. I love this world. I will always love this world. You know, you learn more every time, and this is no exception. We learned a lot in this book. But, yeah, that's my thoughts. Obviously, I did have some issues with it, but all in all, I think in the way that I was describing it, you can tell I did enjoy it. Like, it's not me being like, oh my god, this book sucked. These are my problems with it. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It's an 8th Harry Potter book. I'm not going to complain about it. This was magical in a different way than the other 7 books were, because this is its own thing. That's one thing. It's a script. It's its own thing. And for what it is, I think it's going to be so epic, and I'm really hopeful that I'll get to see this brought to life on stage, because I think to see that happen is going to be so amazing, and to see what they can do with this is going to be so cool. You know, you have problems with every book, and obviously I don't have that many issues with the other Harry Potter books, but, you know, this wasn't J.K. Rowling's, like, I mean, it was her baby, but wasn't, like, you know, her dialogue or anything, and that's fine. That's okay, because this was still exciting. It was still in the Harry Potter world. It was still a lot of things. I can also, side note, Dumbledore's painting, that conversation, what the hell, Harry? All I'm going to say about that, because don't get mad at a painting. But no, this was amazing. I am beyond grateful that I have this, that I was able to really experience a Harry Potter release. I didn't ever really experience a Harry Potter release just because I got into them, but I wasn't super into them when they were still being released, and this is so exciting. And the first review I did on my channel is Harry Potter, and that is perfect.